Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So we'll be starting our new topic on fragments. And fragment is something that is more than a word and less than a sentence. We did deal with the single words, okay, so far, and you know how to find their status, number, gender, and type, okay? And those are the isms, okay? Now we're gonna see what happens if more than one ism is there. We actually kind of started that when we did our exercise yesterday, and I mean last week, about pronouns, right? We saw that as the brother Ma'in said, Rabbakum, right? There was two words, not one word. Ainaha, there's two words, okay? Kitabuhu, two words, right? So kitab is one word, who is a pronoun. So it's a his book, my lord, okay? Our house, your pen, okay? All these things are two words, and they are also fragments, okay? So fragments are not a full sentence, but a more than a word. It could be two words mostly, or it could be two or three words. It could be a chain of words. They come together and they gives a meaning of it. And we need to recognize these fragments so that we can translate them correctly. And just like in the words, when we learn about the ism words, we have four properties of ism. We have different clues. So we'll have different clues to know the fragments, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. And obviously, just like before in our previous topic, we memorize few things. We memorize, the word that Arab said. So we memorize, the body parts in pair. Okay, those are the memorization we had. Okay, like any other language, we memorize the Muslim chart. Okay, Muslimuna, Musliman, and Muslimun, Musliman, Muslimin, Muslimani, Muslimani, Muslimani. So we memorize those, right? The combination. Okay, so there will be some things that we need to memorize in fragments as well, and the fragments as well. Okay, so fragments. Basically, we'll learn about 5 types of fragments. We'll learn 5 types of fragments. So the next 5 weeks, inshallah ta'ala, or maybe a bit more than 5 weeks, we'll go slow. We don't need to rush, every week one fragment. We'll do exercise and everything, inshallah ta'ala. So almost in 5 to 6 weeks time, inshallah, we'll learn about 5 types of fragments. Okay. So fragments looks like this. So, we have ism, one word is ism, and then we have some other ism. In between these isms, okay, could be something else. It could be sitting next to each other, okay, in an ayah, or it could be something else. It could be some harf and fail, which you don't know yet, okay, but still okay. We're gonna be learning there. We're gonna be going there soon, okay. But at the moment, we are learning about fragments where more than one ism comes and they make some relationship. Okay, they make some. Sometimes the relationship could be side by side. So their two ism is sitting side by side, nothing between them. Sometimes two isms could be a bit far away. In between them, there will be some other things, but still they have a relationship. Okay. Sometimes the relationship is very close. Sometimes the relationship is very bit far away. Okay, like a long distance relationship. Okay, but that's fine. Still, there are some connection between those, and we'll learn about those connection. Okay, so ism could be like this. Okay, it could be all four isms maybe sitting together, connected to each other. Okay, or maybe the first one could be connected to the last one, or the last one could be like this. So this ism can be connected to this one, this will be connected to this one. So there could be different relationship in an ayah, because ayah is made up with a lot of words. Okay, there's no because it is a grammatical thing that we have 3 types of words, but in the ayah, Allah used a ism, a harf, a fail, 2 isms, 5 isms, okay, 2 fails, it doesn't matter, depending on what is the ayah about, right? So there will be different type of relationship. Now, these 5 type of fragments that you're going to learn, the first type is we're going to talk about the first one today, inshallah ta'ala. That is, you will see the same thing that we did. Basically, a part of that we did when you did the examples of the pronouns. Okay, as I'm mentioning again and again, the pronoun examples where you have a relationship of. So his book, my lord, your house, my pen. Okay, so always the ownership relation. So that's one kind of fragment, and that is the fragment is our first fragment. Okay, that fragment is called Idafa. That fragment is called Idafa. It's the Arabic name is Idafa. English has 3 ways of using of, but in Arabic, they are all the same. In Arabic, there is only one way of saying of, by using an idafa. So idafa means a fragment. Idafa is the name of a fragment where one or two words come together and creates a relationship, and the relationship is the relationship of ownership or possession. Okay, we saw it with an ism and with a pronoun, like when we said our Lord, your house, my pen. Okay, so this is also idafa. Okay, this is also idafa, but we don't always talk in pronouns, right? Sometimes two words can have relationship. If I say Abdullah's house, okay, if I say house of Allah, if I say Rasul of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay, so how do they work? So that's what we're going to learn today, the idafa. And this fragment, out of the all 5 fragments, it is the most common one, meaning you will see a lot of idafa in the Quran because the relationship of, okay. So Yaqub's sons, okay, Yaqub's son, Yaqub has 11 sons, for example, okay. Allah's rahmah, okay, the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay. So a lot of times you will see the relationship of. So how do you do that? Every idafa has 2 parts. Every idafa has 2 parts. The first part is called mudaf, and the second part is called mudaf ilayh. Okay, these are just the term. Okay, these are the Arabic terminology of this fragment. It's better you understand them because this is the language you're going to talk. We're going to say this is an idafa, this is the mudaf, this is mudaf ilayh. Okay, so you should know them. Okay, so mudaf, what is mudaf? The word before of, the word before of, and mudaf ilayh, the word after of. As simple as that. Now, in Arabic, we never write the of. Okay, there's no special word for of, o and of. Okay, o and f. Okay, it doesn't exist. We just have a mudaf and a mudaf ilay. The of is implied to be between the two. Okay, like when we say rabbakum, all of your Lord. Okay, all of your Lord. There's no of, we say, but we can say the same thing. There's a hidden of. We can say Lord of all of yours. Okay, if I say my house, okay, my house, house of mine, but we don't say house of mine in English. It's a better English, my house. Okay, but still there is a of. And if you remember our lesson, maybe week 2 or week 3, when we learn about rafa, nasab, and jar, we say jar is the word that comes after of. So mudaf ilay, we're talking about mudaf ilay, that is always jar basically. Okay, now when it comes as a of, there are 3 ways to look at of in English. As we say, you can say house of Allah. That's one way. We can say Allah's house, with the apostrophe s. That's one way. Okay, and also we can say using a pronoun his house. Okay, so all these 3, house of Allah, Allah's house with apostrophe s. Okay, and his house has of. First one, you can see the of literally. Second one, the apostrophe s give you the meaning of the of. Third one, the his, the word his, H-I-S, gives you the hidden of. Okay, as if there's a hidden of there. So in English, there's 3 ways to say this, but in Arabic, it's only mudaf and mudaf ilay. Now, how are you going to know what is a mudaf and what is a mudaf ilay? If 2 words is there, how are you going to know that? So now we have to come to learn our clue. There are few rules about idafa that we need to remember. 2 parts, mudaf and mudaf ilay. What is mudaf? The word before of. What is mudaf ilay? The word after of. Okay, nothing comes between mudaf and mudaf ilay. Generally, 99.99% time, nothing comes between mudaf and mudaf ilay, meaning the 2 words has to be side by side. No other things can be between them. Like for example, rabbakum, the rabba and kum is kind of glued together, nothing in between. Okay, there are some exception, and we're going to look at the exception when time comes. Okay, and it could be something in between them, but when the time comes, we'll look at those one. Okay, the mudaf is always light and cannot have alif lam. Okay, this slide you're looking at, this is very important to learn this. Okay, and if you know these 4 rules, then you know what is idafa. Okay, what is mudaf and mudaf. Okay, mudaf is always light. You know what is light, right? Don't ask me, brother, what is light. We already learned about light. Okay, light doesn't have tanween. Okay, and it doesn't have the noon sound at the end, right? So muslimun is heavy, muslimu is light. Musliman is heavy, muslima, when it's 1 fatha, 1 kasra, 1 dhamma, those are light. Okay, and they cannot have alif lam. What is these 2 are the condition for what? Mudaf, meaning the word that comes before of. Okay, and mudaf ilay, the word that comes after the of, there's only one rule, that it has to be in the jar status. And you know what is jar status, right? So it has to be on the jar status. It cannot have any other status. Okay, it has to be jar. Okay, if it is not jar, then it is not mudaf ilay. Okay, if the word, you see a word in Arabic, right, and it has a al at the beginning, then the next word, doesn't matter what it is, the first word that has al, it cannot be a mudaf, because to be a mudaf, we cannot have al, and it has to be light. Okay, it has to be light. Okay, so we're going to look at some examples implementing this rule from the Quran, and we'll see that how Idafa works. Okay, and as I mentioned again, okay, from now on, every week we'll learn about different fragments. They're short and quick, but they're very, very important. Okay, because you will see them everywhere in the Quran. Okay, and then it will open up, new windows for you. Now you should be able to, when you go to masjid, pray behind the imam, or you're reading your Quran, okay, without even looking at the meaning, you should be able to make meanings, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, because you know the rules now. Okay, and every week, inshallah ta'ala, you'll get more and more on that. Okay, so again, so mudaf and mudaf ilay makes a fragment called idafa. The fragment idafa is nothing but the relationship of ownership, possessionship, or of. Okay, the first word before of is mudaf. The second word after of is called mudaf ilay. The mudaf has to have fulfilled two conditions. Mudaf has to be light, cannot be heavy. Okay, if something is heavy, it cannot be a mudaf, and it cannot also take al at the beginning. Okay, mudaf ilay must be in jar status. Simple is that. So total three things: two things for mudaf, one thing for mudaf ilay. Mudaf cannot be heavy; it has to be light all the time, and it cannot take alif lam. Mudaf ilay is jar. Okay, so let's look at few things. When determining whether something is idafa or not, put in a 3-question test. Okay, is the first word light? Okay, does the first word have no alif lam? Is the second word majroor, meaning it is in jar status? Okay, if these 3 conditions fulfill, then they are a mudaf and mudaf ilay, and then you can translate them with a of in between them. Even if you don't know the meaning, okay, that's fine, but at least you know the relationship. For example, if I say ajaluhunna, for example, you don't know what ajalu means. Okay, for example, I'm guessing. I hope maybe one of you need to know ajaluhunna. Okay, ajaluhunna, and hunna comes from our attached pronoun. Okay, hunna is our one of the attached pronoun, and hunna means all of them feminine, right? What is ajalu means? I don't know what is ajalu means. I know, but I'm just saying. Okay, but suppose you don't know. But ajalu is light. There's no alif lam before that, and also it is no alif lam and it's light, so it can be a candidate for idafa, as a mudaf. Okay, and hunna, it could be hunna is hunna or hinna when it's jar, the attached version. So all fulfill. So ajalu of all of the feminine. What is ajalu means? Ajalu means a time, okay, a duration. Okay, so this is how you will determine that when the first word, if the word is light, okay, then there is a possibility it could be mudaf. If the word has no alif lam, that means this is definitely, it could be definitely very good chance of mudaf. And then you look at the third condition, the second word, can it be a jar status? Yes, it can be a jar status. Then it is a mudaf and mudaf ilay. Okay, let's look at some examples. Inshallah, it will be clear. The book of Allah. Okay, the book is the word before of, and the word Allah is after of. So the book is mudaf, the word Allah is mudaf ilay in this example. It's just an English example. Everybody clear on that? Book of Allah. Simple is that. So there's a of in between. The word before the of is the book, and the word after the of is Allah. Okay, so the book of Allah. Okay, so mudaf and mudaf ilay. Okay, if we say Rasulallahi, Rasulallahi, 2 words here. The first word Rasulu, okay, is light. What is the heavy version of Rasulu? What is the heavy version of Rasulu?
Rasulun.
Rasulun, yeah, just make it 2. Yeah, Rasulun, that's fine. Okay. And when determining the idafa, don't worry about the status. Rafana Sabajar. You just look 2 things. Is it light? Yes, it is light. How do you know it's light? Because it's not sound, Rasulu. Okay. Does it have a alif lam? No, it doesn't have alif lam. So that means it can be our mudaf. It can be our first word. It fulfills its 2 conditions. Let's look at the next word, the word Allahi. What is the status of this word? Now, the next word you have to look at the status. Is the word Allahi rafa? Is it a nasab or is it a jar? It is jar
Jar.
because the sound is E. So Rasulullahi, the meaning of it is Rasul of Allah. Rasul of Allah. Or you can say Allah's Rasul. That doesn't matter in English, however you translate, okay? Okay, Allah's Rasul or Rasul of Allah. But this is an example of an Idafa. So these two words together, Rasulullahi, meaning Rasul of Allah, is a fragment. This is called Idafa. This fragment has two parts, Mudaf and Mudafile. The word Rasulu is Mudaf. Why? It comes before the of, okay, and the word Allahi is Mudaf ilay, okay, because it's in the jar status followed by the jar, okay. So it clearly says here light, no alif lam and jar. Everybody clear, inshallah? Okay, very simple lesson, but you have to understand it. And as I said, you will see even in Fatiha you will find so many things. Just in Fatiha, after today's lesson, read Fatiha to your head, okay? Open the Quran, just read the Fatiha. Open your iPhone, find the Quran app and see how many Idafa you will find there, inshallah ta'ala, okay? Next one. So the Prophet of Allah, Rasul of Allah, okay? Okay, here. Wajunudu Iblisa. Wajunudu Iblisa. Okay, now, what is the first rule? Let's look at the first word, junudu. Wajunudu, okay? So forget about the wa. Wa means and, but it doesn't matter. And even if you don't know this wa means and, we're going to talk about wa later. But wajunudu. And I'm hoping that you don't know what junud means, okay? But there was a word actually junud in one of your the ism jama, okay? The meaning plural by meaning in your number lesson. Junud means army, okay? Now look at the word wajunudu. Is it light? Yes, it is light. There's no sign of heavy. It's not junudun, junudan, junudin, nothing like that. So it's light. Does the wajunudu has a alif lam? No. Clearly I can see there's no alif lam. So this is a candidate, good candidate, the best candidate for mudaf. Let's look at the word iblisa. Now, is the word iblisa jar?
No.
No.
Okay. Any other opinion?
No, it's nasab.
Okay. One brother said nasab. Sisters, you want to say something? We want to hear some of the sisters as well. Any other opinion? The brother said nasab.
I think it's nasab because it ends with a
sound.
fatha.
Yeah, fatha, right? Is this the only way to determine? Is anything else any other brother can think? My older, older brothers. I mean the brothers from my other batch. Can you help us?
There's
I
a
think
ya
this
in
is
the
a,
front.
this is,
There is a ya, so
No, there's no
that's
yeah here. There's no yeah. Sorry, brother. It's sin.
I think it's a partly flexible, some name was there.
Yes, very good,
Partly
brother
flexible.
Farhad. Brother Farhad,
Yes.
you hit the six today. Alhamdulillah. Look at this. This is jar. Okay, now whoever said nasab, you're also correct, but it could be jar, then it is jar. Why it could be jar? Because Iblis is a name. It's a non-Arab name, and they're partly flexible. Like remember, you had a word called Yusufa in the example, Ibrahim. Most of the names in the Quran are partly flexible. Okay, except for Arab prophets name and two non-Arab prophets name, except Nu and Lut, right? So Iblisa is actually jar. Okay, Iblisa is could be jar. Yes, it could be nasab as well. It could be, but if it can be jar, then you consider as jar. Okay,
Yeah,
if
partly
it is
flexible can be done like nasab and jar both, but in this case, as in,
exactly yes,
jar helps, so we'll take jar.
yes. In this case, jar helps, and in this case, if it the way to remember it, if it can be jar, if it can be considered as jar, then you think of it as jar, because when it comes to this one, okay. So Iblisa, the brother and sister who said nasab, yes, you are right, because you just saw the sound, but you have to remember Iblisa. What is the jar version of Iblisa? Iblisi? No, there's no word called Iblisi. It can be Iblisi because it's partly
Because of
flexible.
partly flexible.
Yes,
Yeah.
and partly flexible cannot take kasra. Remember those? Partly flexible cannot have tanween, and it also cannot take kasra. So it is jar here. So a junudu iblisa mean, what will be the meaning of a junudu iblisa? Junud means army.
Army of Iblis.
Simple, yes. See, you're translating the army of Iblis. That's it. This is mudaf and mudaf ilay. Okay, so wa junudu iblisa. So that's why I didn't put the followed by jar here, just to check that whether you remember. So partly flexible word shows jar with a fatha, the soldier of the army of the iblis. Okay, so this is a good example, another example of mudaf and mudaf ilay. Okay, let's look at our next one. Kaumu Musa. Kaumu Musa. Okay, now let's look at the first word, Kaumu. We know what is Kaumu means, okay, because we had this word also in our list. Okay, Kaumu.
Nation.
Yes, Kaumu, is it light? Yes, it is light. What is the heavy version of it? Kaumun or Kauman or Kaumin, okay? And Kaumu doesn't have a alif lam. Now let's look at the next word, Musa. Is this jar? Is the word Musa?
It is a non-flexible. That's why it is jar.
Yes. So again, like Iblisa could be Nasabar jar, Musa could be Rafa Nasabar jar because it's a non-flexible with Alif Maksura. And brother, now this time you have Alif Maksura. Look at the difference. The Iblisa is a sin. There's no iya after that. Okay. But in Musa, this is Alif Maksura after sin, right? So Musa, and the name Musa, the word Musa here, it could be Rafa, it could be Nasab, it could be Jar, because that's why we learn the status, number, and gender and type, right? So, and these are non-flexible because it could be Jar and we consider as Jar. So, Kaumu Musa means, what is Kaumu Musa means then?
Army of Musa. Sorry, nation of Musa.
Nation of Musa. The nation of Musa. No, not, yeah, you can, okay, very good point. Brother Mayan said the nation of Musa. Okay, now this is a good thing that you mentioned the nation of Musa. Nation of Musa, the nation of Musa, both is correct. Why? Where did the da come from? If I say the nation of Musa, I don't have a al here. I learned al means da, but I don't see a da here. So where did it come from? It's a very good thing. Okay, now listen to it carefully. There's no da here. But remember when we learned about proper and common, okay, we said most of the things are common. There are 7 clues that gives us proper. It's in your chart, okay, even the chart that we show today, right? The 7th thing, the last thing was, which I talked that I'm going to talk about it later. Don't worry too much about it. It says, if the word after of, meaning if the mudaf ilay is proper, the mudaf is also considered proper. If the mudaf is proper, the mudaf is correct. Look at the example Rasulullahi. What did the English translation says? The prophet of Allah, the soldier of Allah. Where is the da coming from? We say the mudaf cannot have al, and there is no al because the word after of, which is a mudaf ilay, is proper. Is Allah, the word Allah, proper? Yes, it is proper because the name of our Lord. Is the word Iblis proper? Yes, it is proper because it's a name. Musa is a name. So if the name is proper, then you can use a da, because the word before the word, the mudaf ilay, also became proper. So again, if the mudaf ilay is proper, meaning the word that comes after the of, if it is proper, okay, then the word before also is automatically proper. Okay, so when you say Kaumu Musa, and think in a normal way, when you say Kaumu Musa, are you talking about any nation? No, we're talking about
specific nation.
a specific nation. Which nation? The nation of Musa. Automatically our mind giving it the da, in English, we didn't even think the nation of Musa. And that's why I think Brother Mind said the nation of Musa. Yes, this is right, because we just use the proper da, because we know it's not like any nation, it's the nation of Musa. It's not like any Rasul, we're talking about Rasul of Allah. It's not any army, we're talking about the army of soldiers. But not necessarily that every time the mudaf ilay has to be proper. It could be common also. At that time, the whole thing is common. That's fine. So not like, every time you will have a name or a proper thing as a mudaf ilay. Okay. And also remember one thing. There are 3 conditions. Mudaf, the first word has to be light, no alif lam. Second word is only one condition, jar. And if it can be jar, then it is jar. Second word can have alif lam. Second word can be heavy also. It doesn't matter. Okay. As soon as you see the second word can be jar, or it's showing you is jar, then it is a mudaf, and mudaf ilay is a idafa fragment. Okay. So this one, we said the people of Musa, the nation of Musa. Okay. Non-flexible cannot show the status. Okay. This one, Rabbana. Rabbana. Now what the word Rabba, we already talked about this, right? It's light and no alif lam. The Rabba is nasabiyah, doesn't matter the status, because when determining the Idafa, the mudaf, the first word, we don't care about the status, okay? I mean, not at this stage. We'll care about it later, inshallah, when you know more about it, okay? So Rabba is light, no alif lam, and na comes from nahnu, okay? And we said in the pronoun chart last week the nahnu, the attached version, which could be nasab or jar, okay, is na. So na is the attached version is never proper, like never rafa. It's either nasab or either jar. So it could be nasab, it could be jar. So if it is can be jar, then it is right. So Rabbana means Rab of ours, or in better English, our Rab. Okay, so that's why we have so many dua starting with Rabbana. So attached pronoun mudaf ilay, and also as we said before, that for this kind of attached pronoun, you don't need to think too much. If you see the word before pronoun is a ism, you already know it's a possessive pronoun, right? So it's a mudaf ilay anyway. Okay, so every time a pronoun get attached with an ism, it creates a idafa. As simple as that. Okay, which we told last week. We didn't say the term idafa last week because we didn't know at that time what is idafa. We said every time a ism, a pronoun get attached at the back of the ism, it creates a ownership thing. So we say it in a better English and a better way now. We say every time a pronoun is attached with an ism, it creates a idafa. So the pronoun itself is mudaf ilay, and the noun before that is a mudaf. So mudaf and mudaf ilay. Okay, so that is also, that's why we said when you did all the examples exercise, the 10 exercises we did, all of them were examples of idaha. Her eyes, our book, our speech, their pen, all these things are idafa, examples of idafa. Okay, look at this one. Muslimu Makkata. Muslimu Makkata. What is the meaning of it? First of all, let's determine, is it a idafa? Can it be a idafa?
Muslim should be okay.
Makkah is also
Makkah,
name.
yeah,
and
Makkah.
Right,
Makkah is the name of the place.
And that's also partly flexible.
Name of the place, okay,
So
partly
just
flexible,
like,
yes.
yes, so if just like Iblisa, Makkata is also partly flexible. So we have Makkatu and Makkata. We can have Makkati. Okay, that's not because the name of a place is also partly flexible. Most of the time. Okay, so that's why Muslimu Makkata. What is the meaning of Muslimu Makkata then? Yeah, already Brother Mahabub already answered in the chat. Muslims of Makkah. Muslims of Makkah. Okay, and why Muslims? Why not a Muslim? If I want to say a Muslim of Makkah, what do I say? What should I say? Let's translate in Arabic. A Muslim. So this is one is called the Muslims of Makkah. I want to say a Muslim of Makkah.
Without wa. Muslimu.
Yes, Muslimu.
Without
Makkah.
wa, because wa means Muslimuna, and then that light
Very
version
good.
of Muslimun.
Very good, mashallah. Very good. Yes, that's the thing. Yes, a Muslim Makkah. Let's not the plural. Let's take the singular of Muslim and make it a light. So Muslimu, and it's Muslimu Makkah. Okay. So these are few examples of them. And as I mentioned, when you read Quran, and just as I said, always say that start with Fatiha and go to the other surah. You will see how many of them, how many you will find. And now, inshallah ta'ala, when you go stand behind the imam, your concentration, either thinking of your lunch or office or anything, you should think like, what did he just say? Is it a mudaf and mudaf ilay? That's what it worked for everyone. Honestly, for me also, even this Tarabi, alhamdulillah, and our brother Siraj was with me in the masjid, and he also mentioned that, Ronnie, I'm just enjoying it because so many words I can understand now. Okay, yes, the imam will recite fast, but at least even if you pick up one or two things, you will know how beautiful it is that you're reading the Quran with understanding, without even knowing the meaning. And you're translating it now, okay? You're translating it now. And the vocabularies, it will come up. Don't worry about the vocabularies too much, okay? We're going to learn vocabularies, okay? And that's why I always mention there is different ways to learn the Arabics of the Quran. Sometimes there are websites, they teach us like, if you learn 70% of the word, if you learn 10 words, those are okay. I'm not saying they're wrong, but that's not the right approach. This is the right approach because you go slow, but you understand what you're saying. Why the Makkata cannot be Makkati? Because it's a partly flexible. Why Iblisa cannot be, it's a jar here. Okay, so because once you know these things, it gives you the inner meaning, and there's lots more coming, inshallah ta'ala. Even in this basic course, you will learn a lot, inshallah ta'ala, that will help you to understand the book of Allah, inshallah. Okay, let's look at this one. Idafa chains, which is a simple thing, but what it's saying, take a look at the fragment, my mother's food. It's an English example, my mother's foods, or the food of the mother of mine. So here we can see there's 3 words in English, and looks like there's 2 off in between. So it's like a chain. the food of the mother of mine. Okay, notice that in this fragment the word of appears twice. Okay, the presence of more than one of creates what we call an idafa chain. Okay, so sometime it could happen that 3 words sitting together, or maybe 4 words, and each of them could be a mudaf for the next one. Okay, so in this chain, the middle word mother, is a mudaf ilay of the word before it, which is food. Okay, and a mudaf to the word after it might. So same word mother in a situation like this can be the mudaf and can be the mudaf ilay because it's in the middle. Okay, so the food of the mother, if we stop there, then the word mother is mudaf ilay. But if I forget the food, if I say the mother of mine, then the same word is a mudaf again. So the same word can be mudaf ilay. In a chain, any word that appears between 2 words serve as mudaf ilay to the word before it and a mudaf to the word after it. Okay, it's just telling. So we'll look at one example. It's really very simple. Okay, so look at this example. Maliki yawmiddin. Okay, familiar? Okay, we always say that, right? Maliki yawmiddin. Okay, now if you look at the first word maliki, okay, is it light? Yes, it is light. Is there any alif lam? No, no alif lam. So it is a candidate for our mudaf. And also, by the way, we are all talking about ism. There'll be words that fail. Okay, that's a different word altogether. We're gonna jump into that word later on. Okay, but for the time being, you think the Quran is only isms for you. Okay, yes, there will be words between, you won't understand them now because we haven't done everything, right? So, but those we'll handle later, inshallah ta'ala. For example, this one, Maliki is an ism. Malik means what? King or the owner, okay? Whatever you mean it, okay? So Maliki is light, no alif lam, perfect. Yaumi, yaum means day. Yaumi is jar, yes, it is jar. It's the sound yaumi, right? So Maliki yaumi, the mudaf and mudaf ilayh, these two. So Malik of the day, Malik of the day, okay? Mudaf and mudaf ilayh. Now let's look at yaumi. Is the word yaumi light? Yes. Is the word yaumi has al? No. So it can be a mudaf. Ad-dini. Ad-dini. It has a al, but doesn't matter. It's jar, right? Ad-dini. It's the ni sound at the end, right? So this can be a mudaf ilayh as well. So Maliki yaumiddini. Okay. So Maliki is the owner of the day of the deen, meaning the judgment day. Okay, here the deen means judgment day, but deen has different meanings. Okay, like we call our religion also deen, right? So Malik, deen basically means something alone. Okay, it's basically dina daina means alone. Okay, so on that day all loan will be paid off, meaning all our deeds will be paid off, good and the bad. Okay, so that's why it's called Malik Yawmiddin, right? So here the master or the Malik, the owner of the day of judgment. Okay, so there is an idafa chain. Okay, and the middle word yaumi is a mudaf ilay for Maliki and a mudaf for deen. So this middle word is doing 2 purpose. Okay, mudaf and mudaf ilay, and you translate the master of the day of judgment. Okay, so there's 2 off here anyway. Okay, so this is what it means. By the way, this is a side thing. A lot of time, it is very important that we make sure that our Fatiha is correct when you say that. Okay, this is how Malik Yamuddin said, because we learn them these surahs in our childhood from from our hujur, or from the sheikh, whatever we learn from. We didn't read and we just memorized them like a parrot, right? So a lot of time you will see people say Malik Yawmiddin, Kiyaw. Okay, it's not Malik Yawmiddin. Okay, it's Maliki, it's jar here. Okay, why it is jar, we're going to talk about it later. Okay, because it's jar because of the other things at the beginning. Okay, and then Yaumi and then din. But they say as if like Maliki Yaw. Ki and then Yaw has ki is attached with a ya. Okay, so brother, read properly because the Fatiha is very important. Other surahs also important, but Fatiha if it's wrong, then it is wrong. Okay. So when you say Maliki Yawmiddin, you should think that I'm saying 3 words. Maliki Yawmiddin. Okay. So, and yes, Maliki has a mad, Maliki Yawmiddin, that's fine. There's a different Kirat has a different thing. But now that is clear for you that there are 3 words in Maliki Yawmiddin. Okay. Okay. So, a lot of time people without understanding, because they never open the Quran to read the verse, they just memorized it and they're still using them. Okay. And unfortunately, that's the case for most of us. Okay, so please, now that Allah blessed you, that you're learning more, He gave us the opportunity to learn more. So say it correctly. And if you know your spouse or your children, tell them, like when you say it, don't say Maliki Yawmiddin. Okay, Maliki Yawmiddin. There's a ya. This is a different word completely. There's 3 words in between. Okay. Maliki Yawmiddin. Okay. Okay. Yes, it sounds like the same, but as long as you understand, no, it is not the same. It is not one word. It's not kiyaw. Okay. It's Maliki Yawmiddin. Okay. Yawmiddini. Okay. And also we stop at Yawmiddin. We don't say Yawmiddini because that's a reading rule. Because when an ayah finishes, we don't say the last haraka. Okay. We stop there. Okay, but if we attach it with the next ayah, sometime in a Tarawih time, like the sheikhs, they recite everything together, okay, because they want to be faster. At that time, you can say Malik Yawmiddini Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. So they say Dini at that time, okay. But if you normal day when you pray slowly, and that's how recommended we recite Quran slowly, okay. So we stop in the every ayah. So Maliki Yawmiddin. We don't say Maliki Yawmiddini, okay? But actually it's end with dini. But because the reading rule that we stop, we don't say the last haraka, okay? So that's why we say that. Anyway, come back to our lesson that, this is another example of Idafa chain. Idafa chain, meaning because Maliki is a candidate for Mudaf, light no alif lam, Yaumi is jar, so it is Mudaf ilay. Again, Yaumi is mudaf for the dini, okay, because it's no light and no alif lam, because status doesn't matter for mudaf, right? Status doesn't matter for mudaf. Status matters for the mudaf ilay, that it has to be jar, and ad-dini is jar. And look at this, ad-dini cannot be mudaf anymore. Why? Because it has a al. As soon as you see al, this is not a candidate for my mudaf. As soon as you see al, it is not a candidate for the mudaf one, okay?
Mudaf ilay, the third one.
No, if you see an al, it cannot be a mudaf, meaning it cannot be the first word. See, the condition is the first word cannot have alif lam to be a mudaf ilay. Okay, let's look at this one. Amri rabbihi. Amri rabbihi. Okay, so let's imagine that we don't know the meaning of amri. I'll tell you the meaning later. So what will be the meaning of amri rabbi? Translate amri as amri. Okay. What will be the translation of it? Sisters, you try first.
Amri of his Lord.
Very good. Amri of his Lord. Yes, Amri of his Lord. So this is again a muda idafa chain. Amri means commands. Okay, Amri means commands. Okay, so command of his Lord. Okay, Amri is light. Okay, clearly no alif lam, so it's a candidate for mudaf. Rabbi, this is Rabbi, not Rabba, because the kasra is below the shadda. Okay, so Rabbi is jar. Amri Rabbi, the command of Lord. Okay, and he is our attached pronoun, and we said as soon as you see attached pronoun with an ism, it's an idafa. So Amri Rabbihi, the command of his Lord, the command of his Lord, or his master's command. You can translate it this way too, the same thing. Okay, the command of his Lord or his master's command. See how this is also a chain. There's 3 mudaf because Rabbi, the middle word, is a mudaf ilay for Amri and also a mudaf for Rabbihi. Okay, so this is another thing. Let's look at another example. Zikru rahmati rabbika. Zikru rahmati rabbika. Zikru means remembrance. Okay, is it light? Yes. Is it alif lam? Yes. No alif lam. Good. So mudaf. Rahmati is jar. Yes, it is jar. No problem. Rahmati. Okay. And when you determine the mudaf ilay, you don't need to think about the heavy or light or whatever. You just think, and it's masculine or feminine. This is a feminine word because of ta marbuta, but it's ti, rahmati. So this is mudaf ilay. So zikru rahmati means remembrance of rahma, remembrance of rahma. Rabbi, is it mudaf ilay? Could be of rahmati. Yes, it could be because it's jar again. And rahmati also has no light, no alif lam, and ka is attachment there. So there's actually 4 words, all of them in the chain of idafa. Zikru rahmati rabbika. Okay, so the meaning of it, the mention or the remembrance of the mercy of your master. Okay, of your master. And there's another of here actually, the master of your, but in English you see your master. Okay, zikru rahmati rabbika. Okay, so just to show you that how idafa can come into chains. Okay, anyone knows which surah this ayah from? Zikru rahmati rabbika. Brother Shiraz, anyone? Yes, Maryam. Yes, brother. Thank you, Shiva. Yes, it's Surah Maryam. Okay. Surah Al-Maryam at the very beginning, Allah says, Zikru Rahmati Rabbika Abduhu Zakaria. Okay. So this is from the Surah Maryam, and you can see that the 4 words, creating a Idafa chain. Idafa chain. Okay. Let's look at the next example. Kitabun Markumun. Now, okay. So, brothers, I want our sisters to answer this. Can this be a Idafa, Mudaf and Mudaf ilay? Any of the sisters, can you say these 2 words? Kitabun markumun. My question is, can it be an Idafa? Okay, let's see, someone answered already. Sister, I think it's Sister Tanya, right? Yeah, she said, no, it's heavy. Excellent, sister. What is heavy? The first word is heavy. Kitabun is heavy. So it cannot be a Mudaf ilay. It could be something else. We're going to learn them soon, inshallah, but it is not a Mudaf and Mudaf ilay. Brothers, do you understand? Sisters say it cannot be a Idafa. Why? Because she gave the reason. The kitabun, the word kitabun is heavy. Also, markumun is also not jar. Both of them looks like rafa and they're heavy. Okay, so this is not an example of idafa. So it can't say that there's an off in between them. It's something else. Okay, and we'll learn about that later, inshallah. Okay, what about this one? Asfin ma'lun, ma'kul. This is from Alam Tara Kaifa Fa'ala Rabbuka bi ashabil fil. Okay, towards the end. Alam yajal kadam fi talil wa arsala alayhim tayran ababil tarmihim bihijaratin min sijil faja'alahum ka asfim ma'kul. Can it be a idafa? Asfim and ma'kul? No. Another sister Jaina said no, it's also heavy, so it cannot be idafa. So, and yes, Brother Qazi is a mouse of sifa, and don't say that Brother Qazi now, because the other brother will be confused. Okay, yes, they're mouse of sifa, but we'll talk about it later. Okay, so asfin ma'kul and kitabun markun, these are not mudaf ilay. They are something different, and we're going to learn them later in coming weeks, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, so, and how do you know? So if you look at a word like this, if you see a word that is heavy, so next word doesn't matter what it is. Okay, your first condition is nullified, so it cannot be idafa. Okay, so I'm giving this example to show that yes, not every 2 words you will see and you will say, oh, it's a mudaf ilay. No, it cannot be. Okay, so this is not like, for example, alhamdu lillahi. Alhamdu. Alhamdu lillahi. Now, can alhamdu be a mudaf? No, it cannot be, because it has al.
Because we have al.
All on it. No.
Yes, so the our second condition is not verified, so it's gone. It's not the candidate mudaf at all. It's something else. Okay, so what we learned today, alhamdulillah, is a very good thing that we learn about fragments. Okay, and the first fragment, we said we're going to learn about 5 types of fragments. Okay, but this is the first type. First type is called idafa. Idafa is nothing but the relationship of or possessiveness or ownership, whatever way you want to call it. Okay, and there are 2 parts of idafa: mudaf, the first part, and mudaf ilay, the second word. Okay, mudaf must be light, cannot have alif lam. Okay, then it is a candidate for mudaf, and the mudaf ilay must be in jar. If it doesn't look it has jar, if it can be jar, then consider as jar, and then it will be a mudaf and mudaf ilay. It could come 2 words together. It could be 3 words like amri rabbihi. It could be 4 words, zikru rahmati rabbika, right? So it could be a chain, or it could be only 2 words sitting each other. So inshallah, with this we finish today's talk. Alhamdulillah. We'll do a quick exercise, inshallah, next week, just like we did today, about idafa. I'm gonna close the recording now. If you have any questions regarding the assignment. Yes.
Not only the assignment here, just one question to clarify. Is it a sequence for the mudaf ilay always the mudaf first and the ilahi second?
Yes, always.
Okay,
Yes.
and is there any chance of, like, if it has a chain, then we should go back to the previous one, or always just the next before?
Always just the next before. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. So what brother is saying, that the sequence mudaf and mudaf ilay is always mudaf ilay after mudaf. Yes, it is always that. Also, the word here, let's look at this, zikru rahmati rabbika, right? This word rabbi cannot be a mudaf ilay for the first word, or is it just one before that? It is always just one before that. Okay, and as I mentioned in the beginning of this notes, you will see that between mudaf and mudaf ilay there cannot be anything. So between mudaf and mudaf ilay, there cannot be anything, meaning it cannot have any other harf or fail or any other ism, nothing at all. Okay. And that is the general rule for 99.99%. That 0.1% is the exception, and we're gonna deal with that when time comes. Okay. But yes, your question and answer is right, that it's always first mudaf and then mudaf ilay, and mudaf ilay should have a mudaf just before that. Okay. No problem. So I'm going to stop.